Christian Pulisic, Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Gio Reyna, Yunus Musa, the list goes on and on. There are so many Americans performing so well at top level clubs right now. It is just an awesome time to be an American soccer fan. But right now, I'm counting down the top 10. And whenever I say top 10, I'm not talking about overall player ability or how they fit into the national team or whatever. I'm talking about right now, in this moment, who are the top 10 highest performing Americans right this second. So we'll get right into that on this episode of the Yank Report. Hi, my name is Sam. This is the Yank Report, the show we talk about U.S. soccer. And if you're into U.S. soccer, if that's your thing, please hit that subscribe button. We make a ton of U.S. soccer videos. We'd love to have you around. And if you like this video, if you like this kind of content, hit that like button. It helps more people find it, spreads the word about U.S. soccer, and U.S. soccer content gets more people into it, so we can have as many people as possible cheering on the boys as they inevitably win the 2022 and 2026 and all the World Cups, and just America becomes the most dominant team in the world, right? That's going to happen. Anyway, let's get into it. And my number one pick for the highest rated American right this minute, and it might be a little controversial for some of you guys, I'm going with Weston McKennie, the Texan, Big Wes. Wes kind of shocked the world whenever he went to Juventus, and he didn't just work his way into Juventus. He hit the ground running. He became an integral part of the team almost right away. And you read an article every day about how in love the Juventus fans are with McKennie, how much Pirlo appreciates the effort and energy that he brings to the game, how much Weston has changed the club since he arrived. Not only is he a world-class ball winner, I'm going to say world-class, I'm going to use that. I'm going to say he's a world-class ball winner. His ability in the air is unbelievable, but you never see Weston lose an aerial duel. He is absolutely amazing, and he is playing the best soccer of any American right this second. So number 2 on our list is the golden boy. It is Christian Pulisic. It is the kid from Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I know a lot of you are probably screaming, how can you put Christian Pulisic number 2? He's our best player. But Christian's had a rough few months since he returned from the hamstring injury at Chelsea. You know, last season, whenever the EPL came back from the coronavirus break, Christian Pulisic was one of the best players in the EPL. But since the 2021 season has started, he just hasn't been able to reclaim that form. And a lot of it has to do with Chelsea just not reclaiming that form. Now, it's going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks as Frank Lampard is out and Thomas Tuchel is in. Christian has that connection with Tuchel from his days at Borussia Dortmund. Tuchel is a much better manager whenever it comes to tactics as opposed to Lampard. Lampard's more of a man manager. Christian could easily be at the top of this list. He just got to get back in form. Number 3, I am going with the right back for Barcelona, Serginho Dest. And I just love saying right back for Barcelona, the American at Barcelona. Now, Serginho transferred to Barcelona, and through some injuries, he got an opportunity to start for the team. And since slotting in at right back, he has been one of the bright spots on a Barcelona season that is otherwise truly forgettable. Barcelona, of course, is going through one of the weakest moments in their history right now as they're trying to transition from that golden era to the next era. I would like to see Serginho just do a little bit more. You know, in a recent interview, he admitted that he's not very confident right now, and I think that just stems from being a part of a Barcelona team that's not very confident right now, that just kind of is a little bit all over the place. I think Serginho can be one of the very best right backs in the world. Once things really start going their way at Barcelona, and I think we all believe that they will get back on track, I'll look for big things to come for Serginho Dest in the coming years. Number 4, and I'm giving it to a guy that is not an every game starter for his team, but every time I see him play, I'm just reminded of just the quality of player he is, the intelligence that he has, just all the qualities that he brings to the field, and I'm talking about Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams is one of my absolute favorite players to watch, but I'll admit it's difficult to watch Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams is one of those players that they say, you know, if you watch the game, you might not see him, but if you watch him, you see the game. Because he just does so many little things that you might not notice unless you're actively watching him. The amount of interceptions, the amount of passing lanes that he cuts off, quick decisions, and just knowing what to do with the ball, and just never losing possession, and just doing the right thing in the right moment for his team is the reason why I just love watching Tyler Adams, and I'm so excited to see what he can do for the U.S. men's national team in the coming years. At number 5, a player that I'm sure a lot of you are screaming deserves to be higher, and I think that he really can be higher on this list once he develops a little bit more consistency, and that is Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna, the 18-year-old at Borussia Dortmund, kind of came out the gates this season just lighting the world on fire. He was putting together assists and goals, and his goals were just beautiful. His assists to Haaland were fantastic, perfectly weighted. But like a lot of other players on this list, as Borussia Dortmund has hit a rough patch and Lucien Favre lost his job and they got a new coach and just things are kind of coming off the rails for Borussia Dortmund right now. And in that stretch, Gio hasn't been quite as prolific. And look, I think that's okay. He's an 18-year-old player. He's still getting a ton of minutes for a very, very good team. He's learning about, adversity, playing for a club that it has really high expectations but is very much underperforming. And I'm really happy where Gio is right now. But all that being said, I still think he's number 5 on the list right now. Number 6, and I'm giving it to a guy who I think might be the most important player for the U.S. men's national team, and that is John Brooks. John Brooks, the big talismanic center back, and I say he might be the most important player for the national team because we just do not have another player in his position that brings to the table all the things that he does. Not only is he our best defender, is he a wonderful athlete, but he also can do things with the ball that nobody else in our pool can from that center back position. If you watch games without John Brooks and then watch games with John Brooks, it's like the national team is a completely different team. His ability to break into the midfield and to hit long diagonal passes, his combination play with the midfield and with the right backs, he's essentially another midfielder that can step into the midfield and also be your best defender. His combination of skills and ability is something that whenever we don't have it is severely missed. And for that reason, I have John Brooks, the veteran, the guy who's just game in, game out, doing it in the Bundesliga at number 6. Moving on to number 7, I have a player that is full of hype right now, and that is the left back for Fulham, Antonee Robinson. Robinson came into the season at Fulham, playing in the Premier League for the first time, a player that has come into a lot of criticism for his performances with the national team, but at Fulham this year, he has been absolutely tremendous. Aside from that red card tackle against Chelsea, it seems like he hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been a dominant player for Fulham. Robinson has tremendous pace. He can whip in a really nice cross, and he seems to have pretty good vision about finding players in the attacking third. I don't have to tell you this, but the left back position has been a sticking point for the U.S. men's national team for, about the last 30, 40 years or so. And seeing the way that Antonee Robinson is performing in the Premier League just gives you a lot of hope that maybe we have actually found a guy who can lock this position down and it actually be a strength for the next decade or so. At number 8, we are moving away from the field players into a position that has been a position of strength for the national team for many years, but right now might be a little bit of a question mark. At least it was until Zach Steffen started putting in some starts for Manchester City and has really shown everybody why he was such a promising prospect. Zach Steffen putting in quality performances for Manchester City, getting to train every day against some of the best players in the world under Pep Guardiola. Even though he's still officially the backup for Manchester City with the performances that he's been putting in lately and the fact that he is just so important to the national team, I am putting Zach Steffen at number 8 on this list. Number 9 is a tough one for me because he's not officially an American yet, but he is probably the non-American that we are most excited about, and that is Yunus Musah. And look, I'll admit it right now, I try not to watch too much Yunus Musah because there's this voice in the back of my mind saying, don't fall in love with him. He's not an American yet. We don't know what he's going to do. He might go away, but sometimes he just puts out highlights that you can't ignore. Like that breakaway run that he had it was very reminiscent of Gareth Bale's famous Tottenham run. I mean, Musah just has so many qualities that, he can play in the midfield, he can play out in the wing. He just has the burst of pace. He has this quality on the ball. There's just something about him that makes him seem like he's a lot older, a lot more experienced than he actually is. At the moment, I'm not sure there's a bigger, more important thing that the U.S. men's national team can do than to cap tie Yunus Musah and secure him as an American for the rest of his career. The guy is just so exciting, and he's a player that can shoot up this list and just seems to have so much ahead of him. Yunus, choose USA. All right, so now we're at number 10, the last player on our list. Before we do that, let me give you a few honorable mentions, and that first one is going to be Matthew Hoppe. I'm sure a lot of you are screaming right now, why isn't Matthew Hoppe on the list? He scored, 6 goals in 4 games or something like that, something crazy like that. And look, he is scoring goals and he's making a lot of things happen for a really dismal Schalke team. I'm still looking for him to be more of a player in the build-up. He still looks kind of pensive on the ball. Anytime he has to drop in, he looks really uncomfortable. And I really want to see him to flesh out those other areas of his game. The scoring goals is fantastic. And if he keeps doing that, then I'll just shut up. You know, if he scores a goal a game for the rest of his career, then who cares if he drops in and is a part of the midfield. Another player just missing out is Jordan Morris. And, you know, Morris has been just one of the most consistent performers for the national team for years. He's been one of the most consistent and best players in MLS for years. And he just secured a loan move to Swansea City. I actually just did a video about that if you want to check that out. And I think Morris, you know, if he hits the ground running for Swansea, could be a player that really shoots up this list. I think that Morris is a quality player, and I think he's going to show it with this European move. But as of right now, I have him just outside of the top 10. You know, Timo Weah, Aaron Long, Brendan Aronson are all players that are kind of on the cusp. And, you know, if they can get some consistency and depending on the situation, you know, do well at their clubs, then they can definitely jump into the top 10. But I have to give top 10 to kind of a controversial player in the U.S. soccer world, but that is Josh Sargent. Josh Sargent, the forward for Werder Bremen. And I know you're screaming at me, he doesn't score many goals. Well, he just scored a great goal in his last game. His coach, Florian Kohfeldt, just recently heaped a bunch of praise on him, said he was happy he scored that goal because a lot of people just care about goals, but Josh has just been doing so much for that Werder team. The effort that he puts in on defense, his ability to drop in, bring more players into the attack. But I understand the criticism for him not scoring too many goals. I hope that he can, with that last goal, really get the confidence to find his scoring form. I hope that Bremen picks it up and starts creating more chances. I am a Josh Sargent fan, and I'm excited to see what he can do with the rest of this season. So guys, that's my list. I know that we're going to have a crazy comment section for this one. So please, if you like the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're into this kind of thing. If you watch it this far, you probably are. So just hit subscribe so we can see each other again. My name is Sam, and this is The Yank Report.